The 2023 NBA Draft is in the books, and the Dallas Mavericks had a busy night, fellas. Harrison Graham and Jeffrey Cooperstein with you to recap what happened and hand out some Dallas Mavericks draft grades. And Coop, it was a heck of a night, and it got started early on. There had been chatter leading into the draft that the Mavs could dangle that number 10 pick, and they did just that. The Oklahoma City Thunder traded up for Cason Wallace. They also took on Davis Bertans' contract, which is a nice thing for the Mavericks. Mavericks traded down to number 12 overall, also got around a $17 million trade player exception, and selected Dereck Lively. We'll get your analysis in a second, Coop, but there were two main things the Mavericks needed heading into this draft: rim protection and wing play. We'll get to the wing aspect of it later on, but Dereck Lively, who, look, he's not the flashiest player. It's kind of like drafting an offensive guard in the first round of the NFL draft, where it's like, it's a little boring. It doesn't there's no wow factor, but he absolutely fills a role with rim protection, athleticism, and overall defense, Coop.
Yeah, and look, the Mavs have been targeting Lively for a couple of weeks now. I know that's kind of been the popular pick there. Even if they were at 10, word was that they were going to pick Lively and maybe even stick with him. Now, they found a way to get off Davis Bertans' contract by moving down 2 spots. And I think that's kudos to Nico Harrison, because that was a contract they just needed to get off of. It also allowed the Mavs more flexibility, as it gave them that trade exception, which we'll talk about later. In addition, now they also have the full mid-level, because I believe they are below the luxury tax.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Tim McMahon confirming that now the Mavs have that $12.4 million mid-level exception. And when it was just this move, I was like, I like the pick, but I love that they have gotten rid of Bertans and have that full mid-level and the trade exception, because, again, Lively isn't like a wow pick, but it's a good pick. It fills a need, but then it gives you more flexibility with the trade exception and the full mid-level exception. And we found out just within a couple of hours, Coop, that they were able to use that trade exception to get Richaun Holmes and Olivier-Maxence Prosper, who they drafted at number 24 overall.
And we have this as TBD, because as of now, the Mavericks aren't giving the Kings anything.
Maybe a future second or something like that. I think the Kings wanted to get rid of Holmes' contract.
Yeah, I think the Kings
for luxury tax purposes.
The Kings just wanted to get off of Richaun Holmes' contract, and we've talked about Richaun Holmes numerous times on this channel as a guy that the Mavericks have liked at center. And look, yesterday we found out from Mark Stein that the Mavericks wanted to completely revamp their center rotation. Well, enter Dereck Lively, enter Richaun Holmes.
Yeah, and obviously Maxi Kleber is a guy who can play a little 5 for you if you need him to. Let's talk about Holmes in a minute, Coop. I want to talk about the pick they made first, because, again, center, wing, defense, Dereck Lively, Omax, as they call Olivier-Maxence.
Is that his name? Is that his
Omax,
nickname?
Yeah, nickname.
I like that.
Love
Omax,
it.
okay.
And look, I don't know how much offensive punch these two players will give you right away, but when you have Luka Doncic, and again, not confirmed, but hopefully Kyrie Irving, you don't need a ton of scoring elsewhere. You just need complementary scoring, and you needed physical defenders, and that is something you have gotten here on the wing here with Maxence Prosper. Going to be 21 soon. Canadian, played his ball at Marquette, 6'8", almost 212 pounds, and it's not like he's completely raw and incapable offensively either. I mean, decent splits, 12.5 points, 5 rebounds, 51% for the floor, 34 from 3. Playing with a guy like Luka, you would hope that those percentages over time can go up. But more importantly, Coop, ever since you traded Dorian Finney-Smith, you needed perimeter defenders. And adding this guy, even if he isn't, a starter right away by any means, this is a rotation player from day one, I think, because he can guard 1 through 4s.
Yeah, he's a guy who's 6'8" with the wingspan over 7 feet. He's someone that the Mavericks needed desperately ever since they got rid of Dorian Finney-Smith. I really like this pick from the Mavs. Yeah, like you said, he may not be a starter day one, but he's a guy who can come in and play 25 minutes and guard 1 through 4.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. So you get Dereck Lively, you get Olivier-Maxence Prosper. Grade the 2 selections and factor in the trades as well. A, B, C, D, or F. I got to be honest, Coop, I think it's an A draft, and this is a big night for Nico Harrison. Now, look, it's the NBA draft. We're projecting. We don't know how these players are going to be for sure. But on paper, for what you needed and the value you got, this team probably would have just taken Lively at 10 had there not been a trade. Not only do you still get him at 12, you get the trade exception. Insert Richaun Holmes, who we'll talk about in a second. You get the the full mid-level exception by getting the tax reduction there as well. That is very, very valuable for the Mavericks. So I think you add all of that up, it's an A draft, Coop.
Yeah, I think it's an A draft as well. I mean, look, you get the guy in Dereck Lively that you were targeting all along, and you addressed your two big needs in center and wing, and you do it both in the first round. So I think it was a great draft from Nico Harrison, and kudos to him. He had a lot of detractors, including myself. I mean, I wasn't very confident in what was going to happen this offseason, but I would say that this was a very good start to the offseason. Now there's still work to be done. They still have to use that mid-level wisely, and they still have some contracts they can move. Now here's I'm going to ask you this. JaVale McGee is now out of this rotation completely. Do they find a way to get off his contract, or are they just going to eat it while he rides the bench?
I mean, look, if you could move him, that would be great. The good news is his contract doesn't just kill you in your books. If he's your third center that has to play every once in a while, okay, fine. If you can move him, even better. Maybe, who knows, maybe him, Hardaway, and some kind of pick gets moved for something. You never know what could happen, but the good news is you don't need him to play, right? Like, you've got Lively, and I think even though Richaun Holmes, who, let's talk about him here, Coop, found his way out of Sacramento's rotation, I still got to believe that whatever he can offer is better than what JaVale McGee can offer. Not that long ago, this guy was a double-double machine.
Yeah.
Just for whatever reason, he fell out of favor in Sacktown. He's still only 29. I don't think he's a completely cooked product. Now,
I don't either. And I'll say this. The stats that you see on your screen, 3.1 points per game, just 2 rebounds per game, are just because he was out of the rotation. If you look at his previous 3 years, he averaged 12.5 points, 8 rebounds, and he averaged 64% from the field. So that's a guy that you can use, man.
He's kind of at his peak, a poor man's Capella.
Basically, and he can protect the rim a little better than Dwight Powell can, which is kind of what you're looking for there as well. And so I like this pickup for Holmes. I think in the pick and roll with Luka, he'll be able to run some stuff there as well. So I think it's a good upgrade at center for the Mavericks. And now I wonder what happens. We talked about JaVale McGee. What is Dwight Powell's future? Is he gone? I know the Mavs love him. He's the longest tenured Maverick. Do they bring him back on a vet minimum?
The only way Powell returns, I think, is if they can move McGee's contract. I just, not that McGee's better than Powell. I actually don't think he is. I think Powell can still be in an NBA rotation. I'm not sure McGee can, especially here. But you're not going to sign Powell, I don't think, like 4 centers just doesn't make sense.
It makes no sense, yeah. The roster construction would make no sense. I would like to bring Dwight Powell back for his leadership and all the intangibles that he brings.
That minimum, I'll do it.
Yeah, but if JaVale's on the roster and they can't move him, it's probably unlikely.
Quick note on Holmes, around $12 million this year, $12.8 million player option next year. Probably going to opt into that realistically.
I would think.
But again, that's not a contract that completely kills you. I mean, you could probably flip that next offseason if it didn't work out here just to get him off your books, kind of like you just did with Davis Bertans. You can move expiring deals pretty easily. So, and hey, I'm hopeful he can get back to at least being a rotational center. Can he be 6 and 6? 12 to 20 minutes per game, give you 6 to 8 points, 6 to 8 rebounds. I don't think that's completely out of the realm of possibility.
I would hope he'd give you a little more than that, honestly. Am I crazy for thinking he can get back to giving you 10 and 10?
I got to see how he fits. I mean, look, is he your day one starter? Is Lively ready day one? He could be your day one starter. I don't know.
Well, let's ask the people. How about it?
Yeah, who should start at center? Type H for Holmes or L for Lively. I think, look, in a perfect world, it's Lively. Like, ideally, he's your starter. He's playing 28, 30 minutes a night. Holmes fills up whatever that adds up to 48, the other 15 to 20. Let us know, H for Richaun Holmes or L for Dereck Lively. Hit that subscribe button. We're going to be back tomorrow with more videos, or another video, and then should have a video this weekend as well as our Mavericks draft coverage continues, and on into free agency coverage, which I think just got a little more interesting, Coop. More options now that you have that full mid-level exception. So when the Mavs make moves, we got you covered here on the channel. And Coop, I should mention, the night was not over.
No, it was not. The Mavs, I've made 2 great signings. Yes, they're undrafted free agents, so how great can they really be? But I love the 2 signings the Mavericks made. Your boy, Mike Miles, out of your alma mater, TCU.
Yep.
He's a guard that could get in the microwave in a hurry.
I mean, he, in 3 career NCAA tournament games, pretty much averaged like 27 a game. When the light shined the brightest, he played his best. Kind of a streaky three-point shooter. I think if he can get a little more consistent from three, that would go a long way. Little undersized, 6'2 guard, but very bouncy. Top 5 vertical at the NBA Combine, Coop. 6'2", about 190. Physical player. If he can improve as a distributor a little bit and get a little bit better of a three-point shot, I think he's got potential to be kind of just a flamethrower off the bench in this league. Two-way contract, so,
he has a spot.
With Jaden Hardy here, he probably gets some G League run this first year. Then if he develops further, maybe he's in a rotation in year 2. You never know. I think it's certainly worth the gamble, and it keeps him local, so he should be comfortable doing that as he's been in the DFW area his whole life. And then the second signing out of UAB.
Yes, Jelly Walker.
Walker.
Conference USA Player of the Year in 2022. I watched a lot of Conference USA because my alma mater, North Texas, played in it last year. Jelly Walker was the best player in that conference. I mean, he was a point guard that could do a little bit of everything. He started his career at Seton Hall before transferring to Tulane and finally ending up at UAB. And UAB was one of the best programs in that conference over the past 5 years or so, and he was the best player on that team. He had a great run to the Conference USA Finals, and I believe they won it and made the tournament last year. So he's a guy that kind of like Miles who can
really score.
Yeah, he can really score, and when the lights are the brightest, he turns up.
And I'll tell you what, too, the Mavs could have a really fun Summer League team, especially if Jaden Hardy plays in it again, which we'll see if he plays Summer League. I'd like to see him play. At least a couple of games.
And we'll see. I would think Lively and Prosper will play as well a little bit. Maybe not every game, but maybe one.
Miles and Walker could be fun in that. So we'll see. We're going to have more kind of breakdowns of the UDFAs. We'll see if the Mavs add any more tomorrow. And if there's any juicy rumors that emerge, we'll explore that as well. I can promise you this. We will have a video tomorrow here on Dallas Mavericks Today. Coop, any final thoughts? Hey, Nico, that seat cooled off a little bit.
Good night for the Dallas Mavericks. A lot of work to do to still get back to where they need to be with Luka Doncic here, and it starts with signing Kyrie Irving next Friday.
Exactly. All right, Coop. Appreciate the good work tonight. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you guys.